that in itself is a blessing. Some announcements before we have Pastor Rob come up. Tomorrow is a great day in history. We have a birthday, 25th, Monday, tomorrow. That's his birthday. So congratulations, Jonathan. He made it another year. So, and then also, our mic is having a little bit of problems. And then next Friday, June 29th, is Bob's birthday. So I guess we'll have to get with him next Sunday and tease him a little bit about his age. But happy birthday to Bob. And then also just remind everyone that next Sunday, which is July 1st, I believe next Sunday is July 1st, that is potluck. And so don't forget to bring your favorite dish. And so again, that's potluck. And it's also Bring Your Gun Day. So make sure everyone here, if you have a favorite gun or two, bring it to church and you can show your gun and maybe talk about it and everything. And anyway, it's always a good time. We love the Second Amendment here at the Christian Revival Center. And I don't know too many churches that openly say, Bring Your Gun Day. So that, to me, that's a blessing. For church, we are also going to have a work day. So if you're able to come here about 8 o'clock in the morning, since it gets pretty hot by afternoon, about 8 o'clock Saturday, we're going to have a work day, 3 or 4 hours. We will have lunch in the afternoon. It will be provided by the church, so you won't have to leave and try to get some food. Sandwiches and other stuff will be provided here. And then if you are able to stay and after church or after the lunch and continue work, great. By that time it may be too hot and we may all leave. So the main part of the work day is going to be that morning. And so we have several projects that's going to be going on next Saturday. And so we're really excited about some of the things we're going to be doing here next Saturday. And then just locally, anyone that's interested, College of the Ozarks and Hollister is having celebration this evening at 6 o'clock. I don't know how that's going to pan out with the weather right now with it raining, but supposedly it's still at 6 o'clock, and it's a good, for the most part, a good Christian college, and they will have fireworks, and they always have stuff for the kids and stuff like that. So anyone that's listening, if you want to go to there, that's free. Just tell them that Jason said you can be there, and they'll let you in. So you won't have to worry about that. And then finally, I know it seems far away, but it's going to be here before you know it. The Knights Party Leadership and Family Conference will be on August 31st, September 1st, and 2nd. So that's just a few months down the road. I think about probably 3 months, 4 months. And so it's going to be here before you know it. So those especially 2 months, July and August, 2 months. I had one of those Arkansas educations, so it only took me 2 years to graduate. No. So anyway, 2 months till our Knights Party conference. Again, August 31st, September 1st, and 2nd. So those listening to us on the internet, make sure you're sending your registration in. Let us know that you're going to be here. It's going to be a great conference. You're going to see, hopefully, the majority part of the Christian Research and Development Center completed as far as the outside. It may not be completed 100%, but we are going to be starting on the building probably here in the next week or two, hopefully. And so it's going to be a great, what we call a game changer in the white resistance movement. And so you're going to be able to see that. And really it's going to be the only place in the United States at the white resistance movement where you're going to be able to have something like this. And so we're all very blessed that we've been given this opportunity to have this construction going on. And really just want to thank all our faithful supporters, not only here locally, but our supporters throughout the United States. And we just can't thank you enough getting behind this project. I believe that's all the announcements we have. I asked Charity to come up here and read out of Psalms 52, verse 1 through 9. And I picked this one up because of the fact that so often we see our enemy being deceitful, and they use their tongues to say vulgar and things about our race and our culture. And it's just this verse reminds us of that, but also reminds us that we have to be faithful to God and be faithful of His eternal glory. And if we do that, we will get through this mess. But anyway, so I asked Charity to come up here. And again, Psalms 52, 1 through 9.
Why boasteth thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than speak righteousness. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living. The righteous also shall see and fear, and shall laugh at him. Lo, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise thee forever, because you hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints.
Thank you, Charity. And with that, if I can have Pastor Rob please come up.
Morning, everyone. Why are you here? That's the title I've got up on the screen. If I should ask most people why they're here, they're immediately going to think that, well, what is the meaning of life? They kind of think that's what we're referring to. Calvin and Hobbes comic strip one time had a little strip, and it said, Calvin says, I concluded that when we're born, we're given a certain number of things to do. And he says, before we die, we have a certain number of things we have to do. But he said, I'm so far behind now, he said, I figured I'll live forever. So I know I feel that way sometimes. But we ask the question, why are we here? And some people look for a very spiritual meaning, trying to figure out why they're here. The meaning of life, what's the spiritual meaning of life? Things they have to do, things of purpose they're here for. And maybe people struggle trying to figure out what is my purpose in life. You hear that all the time. What is my purpose in life? Do I have a purpose? Some people think, well, my purpose in life is just make the world a better place, whatever that means. And then, of course, they struggle on how they're going to do that, how they're going to make the world a better place. And everybody has their own ideas of how that's going to accomplish. And then people have this question, and it penetrates into the mind, thinking, and into the conscious and subconscious, what is the meaning of life anyway? What's the meaning? James, in the book of James, verse 14 of chapter 4, James says that our life is like a mist. He said, it appears suddenly, and then poof, it's gone. You know, you ever see steam coming out of a kettle or smoke? I mean, even before you can actually focus on it, it's gone. It's amazing. James says that's how life is. It goes by very quickly. Poof, it's gone. Shakespeare said that life is, in a poem he wrote, he said he concludes his poem by saying life is full of sound and fury, but in the end, signifies nothing. I don't know, a lot of people feel that way. Some people find joy in their life. They find joy in life, and others conclude life is meaningless. Some people feel life is empty, and life is without purpose. And sometimes those people decide to end their life, tragically. And then the subject of the meaning of life has been the subject of preachers and politicians and philosophers and poets for centuries. For centuries, I'm quite sure that in ancient days, people were sitting around thinking, why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? And so I've got on the screen here, why are you here? But the thing is, I'm not talking about analyzing life with that question. With all convoluted pathways and changes you go. I mean, you can stop and consider all the different pathways you could take in your life. I'm not talking about that. But there is many pathways you could take. I mean, you think, what would happen if I just turned the corner instead of going straight? I never would have met that person, which had been so meaningful in my life. Or maybe you might say, I wish I would have turned the corner a little bit sooner. But the things happen in our lives, and and little changes in our life, we don't know what great compounded results could have come from those little changes. So little things are very important. Decisions you make, travel, examining the great mysteries behind the meaning of life has been a question people have had for years. But my question has nothing to do with analyzing, why am I here? What is the meaning of life? That's not the question I have today. My question today, a little more basic, a little more direct. Why are you here? Why are you at church? That's the question. I mean, why are you at this church? So we're not really talking about the meaning of life and the spiritual meaning and all the things. A little more basic. Why are you at church? And why are you at this church? I mean, there are other churches you go to. You can go to First Baptist Church. You go to St. John's Episcopal Church. There's many local Baptist churches and Methodist churches and Lutheran churches and Assemblies of God and Church of God and Nazarene and Catholic and Independent and lots of churches in Harrison. You could go to any of those churches. Nobody's going to hunt you down if you decide to start going to those churches. So why are you here? Why are you at this church? Well, let's look at some of the reasons you're here. One of the reasons you are here is because you all recognize that this church is the social hub of Boone County. That's why you're here. You know that coming to this church is where you can make all your social and business contacts. That's why you're here, right? Or maybe you come to this church because we were recommended by the Chamber of Commerce. Is that why you're here? I mean, social contacts? Or maybe you come here because you know this is a place to go if you want to be seen by important people. Well, obviously none of those are the reasons you're here. I don't think you're going to make any dramatic social contacts, or business contacts. I mean, it could happen. I mean, we've got nice people here. We got business people here. So, I mean, it is that those things are impossible. But if from the standpoint of, well, you might think somebody who wants to go be on the fast track to local stardom in the community, this may not be the church that you would want to attend. I would suspect you're here because at this church, why are we here? Why are you here? I would suspect the reason you're here is because you have an unapologetic love for God and our people. That's why you're here. Has nothing to do with social contacts, business contacts, or it's the church in the community. One time, Jesus Christ was talking to some of the people who were following him, and some of them couldn't really understand what he was saying. They left. And Christ turned to Peter, and Peter said, are you going to go also? You going to leave also? Are you going to go with the others? And Peter says, well, where can I go? Where can I go? You have the words of eternal life. And so we come here to this day and age. Without sounding arrogant, where else are you going to go? For somebody who has a deep love for our race, our faith, our homeland, for the Second Amendment, for our country, for guns, like we're having next week, where are you going to go? And it's not because of me, it's because of us. We need each other. It's important because if we don't assemble together, if we don't come together, and there's many people in this community who are like believers, but they choose not to come here to church. And I've seen their lives, and unfortunately, I've seen this over the years, people who don't keep tightly knitted together in a common thread, a cause they believe in, they eventually fragment apart. And the things that they thought were so important begin to lose their value. And they're just not important anymore. So if we view certain things as being very important, and we analyze ourselves and say, these things are important, the love of my race, my homeland, my culture, if we see these things and my God, we see things as important, then it's important that we bind ourselves together, because we begin to fragment apart. And I've seen it happen many, many times. People say, well, I don't need to go to church. I'll just go out into the woods, or whatever. And I mean, I'm not knocking people going to the woods and communing with God. I'm not knocking that at all. But I mean, it's not the same as making that connection. So we analyze ourselves. We have awakened to certain fundamental truths, or at least we accept certain things as truth because of the way we're raised, or the things we have read or experienced or observed. And there's certain things through our life that brings it to this point that we see this need of coming together for the sake of pursuing truth and pursuing objectives we feel important. And so we have these certain fundamental truths we feel are important for our existence. We feel these things are important. And then outside of that, of the things that we feel are important, then there's certain things we feel are important because they help protect those core beliefs. And so those core values that we have need to be protected. They have to be protected. If we don't protect them, we'll lose them. And we protect them by assembling ourselves together, but there are other things that our founding fathers recognized help protect those things. They're called our unalienable rights, our freedom of speech, our freedom of faith, our free association. We know the right to own, keep, and bear arms. We look at these things, and these things help protect our core values, our core beliefs. That's why we're here. Because we believe there's certain core values we have that they don't have at First Baptist Church. They talk about loving God, but they don't have a core value of loving their people. So we come here and we associate with each other because of the fact that we need this association. We need association more than you need the preaching. In reality, we need this association because this reinforces our beliefs. So we summon together and we draw strength and courage and sometimes wisdom from each other. And this coming together, goes way back, I guess, to the top of the Sabbath. Because the Sabbath was a renewal of your spirit, and we come together in a custom for many, many years now of coming together weekly for church, because like the Sabbath, coming together renews us. It renews our strength and courage and refreshes our spirit. It does that to us. We may not realize it, but it does it. I mean, when you eat something good for you, you may not, you eat a carrot stick. We all know carrot sticks are better for you than perhaps popsicle sticks. But eating the carrot stick isn't necessarily you're not going to eat the carrot stick and then just jump off the seat. Wow, I feel great now. No, the nourishment is a slow process. So we come together for that purpose. Now, I understand that every belief system has fundamentals which they also feel are essential, no matter what denomination you may see. Every belief system has fundamentals they think are important. And we likewise have fundamental truths that we think are important for our people. And you've all heard it before. Number one is love your God, and number two is love your people. Now, loving God is the easy part. Well, it really isn't the easy part, but it's easy to convince yourself that you do. Loving God is actually pretty hard, but for most people, they think that's the easy part because they convince themselves that if they just are good and they go to church and keep certain rituals, certain holidays, if they're Catholic, maybe say the rosary. I don't know how they do that, but they run little beads and say a prayer or something. If they observe certain days and or maybe just to be nice to people. They think that's how you love God, by being nice to people and being a good person. And don't cheat, don't kill anybody, and say your prayers and read the Bible. That's how you show you love God. And so we're convinced that this is how we love God. And see, that's the trouble with religion. That's the trouble with religion because religion has a tendency to make us think we're doing something that earns some type of righteousness. We think that if we just do these certain things, we are obtaining some type of righteousness and making God happy, because we got it right. We got the, whatever doctrine or teaching you may have, you think, I got that right, I've nailed that one, boy, I'm making God happy now. And so that religion gives you a sense of righteousness that you really don't have, you just think you have it. Because you think you got it right. You got the right teaching. You got the right doctrine. And so therefore you're loving God the right way. If you just do the right things, it'll show that you love God. It's very deceptive. It's very deceptive because that's what we all fall into that trap. We all fall into the idea that if I just get it right, I'm going to make God happy. And I'll be pleasing to Him. And, I was thinking the other day, I heard a story, somebody talking about something about Passover. I don't know what it was now, but, we all know about what happened at the Passover. Israel was going to be delivered by God out of Egyptian bondage. And you're going to be delivered, and God sent all these plagues upon you, the lice and the flies and turning the river into blood and the boils and all these things. And the last thing was what? The last thing was you're going to put blood. You're going to take this lamb, this unblemished lamb, this lamb that had nothing wrong with it. It had to be a perfect lamb representing Christ, and you had to take that blood and put it on the doorpost of your home. And I'm sure all those people did all kinds of things that, likewise, people aren't any different. Technology changed, but we're all the same, have been the same since Adam. Our nature is the same, nothing different in our nature. And I'm sure people are sitting around and thinking, I'm doing this, and I'm a good person, and I don't swear, and I observe this, and I do all this. I'm sure people are trying to self-righteous themselves, even then. I'm sure they're doing that. And when God went through Egypt, He didn't say, okay, I'm going to look in each household and see what they're doing, see if they got it right. I want to make sure they got it right, got the right doctrine, the right teaching. I want to make sure they got it right. He didn't say that. What He did say, I've got it here on the screen, I think. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. See, God wasn't looking to see how righteous they were. And us in Christian identity, we sometimes fall into this trap. We think we got our knowledge, we got our identity, we got these things, and we start examining the other teachings of the church, and we see where they might have some fallacies and failures, and we go, I'm going to correct that, I'm going to correct this, I'm going to correct that, and we try to get it, patch it all together, try to get it right. We in identity have that trouble doing that. And yet, it doesn't make a difference because God says, when I see the blood. That's what He's looking at. So we come to church here each Sunday. And it may take time for some people to understand it, and some people never do, but we need this church. We need this structure in our lives. Now, some people don't understand that. That's why they come a few times, maybe leave. Even though they might have the core values are the same. They might believe in race and God and so on, but they don't understand the structure, how important the structure is to them. And it's important for the children. They don't understand that. They don't understand how important this is. They got little children, and they want to raise these children in a faith, so to speak. They want to raise these children to be courageous men and women for race, faith, and homeland. And they fail to connect them to the source that can do that. Because they say, well, I can teach them at home. No, you can't. I don't care what people say. I can teach my kids at home. Well, you can, but you need all the help you can get. You need all the help you can. You need other people in their lives. You need other people, good, noble, righteous men and women as examples in their lives. So we need this structure. That's why we need to be here. Children need to understand that and we too also need to understand that there's a higher power. There's a higher power that connects us not only to God, but there's a higher power that helps. This power, this structure, helps us, connects us to our community. And this is important. Now, in the old days, this worked extremely well. It worked extremely well because our community was our own people. And so it worked out very well because you understand your relationship to God, you understand the relationship to your family and to your community and your service to your community. So that's why, as our people move westward, they come in we always hear about the rough and rugged cowboy who settled the West. That's not really true. The West was not settled by the rugged cowboys. The West was settled by the moms who come in and dads who come in to build schools and hospitals and orphanages and churches. That's what settled the West. So we had this connection, and it worked extremely well because we're connecting with our own people, our own kind. We understood them. We understood their good, but we also understood their evil. We understood the evil in the hearts of men because ultimately we all understood that we were just the same way. I think Rudyard Kipling wrote a poem about that. So we connected. We could see the good in our community. We saw the evil in our community. We could connect with it. We understood it. We understood why people did the things they did. But that's not the case anymore because now we're surrounded by people that are not of our blood. We can't connect with them. And we're trying to connect with them, but it's not working out too well. But it's important for us in a church to understand our community, our people, and connect with them. So we embrace this belief system of loving God. Now, everybody says they love God. Everybody says it. And so they do all kinds of things to demonstrate their love for God. In a sense, they're trying to show God, see how worthy I am? I got it right. I go to church. I give money. I say the rosary. I observe the feast days. I do this and that. See, God, I'm doing a pretty good job. And we fail to understand that all that is nice, but it's the blood. God says, when I see the blood. How many people are trying to get it right and fail in a real relationship with Christ? How many people are trying to get it right and fail to make that communication with Jesus Christ? So loving God is the first step. But loving God means nothing if we don't keep number 2. It means nothing. Love your people. Because second link to it, we all read the story about that lawyer coming to Christ and what's the great commandment. He said, love your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. The second commandment, like unto it, means just as important. You can't don't separate it. Love your neighbor, as we understand people, as yourself. And Jesus Christ set that example for us. He described as the good shepherd who gave his life for the sheep. He came, he taught, and he healed, and he lived among sinful man, and he gave his life on Calvary and gave the blood. He helped demonstrate his love for his sheep, Israel, because that's who is. I know sometimes you read, well, sheep are the sinners of the world, or everybody's a sheep, or or some nonsense. But the sheep is Israel. And he demonstrated love for the sheep, Israel, by teaching, by healing, by encouraging, by being their friend, being their, an example. But he also demonstrated his love for them by what? By driving the money changers out of the temple. He demonstrated that too. He demonstrated that the people that he loved, these sheep, had an enemy. And he confronted the enemy. That's why it only took 3 years for them to put him on a cross. I mean, he must have been pretty bold. Only 3 years. I mean, I think of some really bold white nationalists today. I consider myself pretty bold, and I'm going on 50-some years. So evidently, I'm not as bold as Jesus Christ was, because it only took them 3 years to put him on the cross. So some of these people who talk about Jesus Christ being a kind of weakling, white nationalists, they really fail to grasp what was going on. So he exposed us the vile sins of the Pharisees, and he knew that that we're going to face these same Pharisees generations later. Of course, some were facing them at that very moment, but generations later, we're facing the same Pharisees, the same money changers today. And Christ said he came, he's a shepherd that loves his sheep. And so he tells us he's put on the armor of God. So he said, gird yourselves with loins with truth. And he says to the breastplate of righteousness and the shield of faith and helmet of salvation and sword of the Spirit. These are all military concepts. The swords and the helmet and the shield. And then he said, have your feet shod with the gospel of peace. I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody look at it differently, but when I look at it, Christ says, go as a peaceful person, but be prepared for war. Be prepared for war. Why? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore taketh unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand in the evil day, and having all done to stand. He's telling us, listen, guys, there's some mean, tough, evil people out there. They have names like George Soros. They have names like Hillary Clinton. And they have other names we could think of. There's some evil people out there. And they rule in darkness and wickedness, and they rule in realms that is beyond our comprehension. They're rulers of this dark world. He said, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. We want to be prepared. Now, we're facing illegal aliens. We're facing sodomy, growing, transgender, boy, girl, take your pick, roll the dice, find out what comes up. And now, of course, a dice may not be enough because there's like several hundred genders. I can't figure that one out. Anyway, several hundred genders, so I'll roll the dice, see what you come up with. And so we're facing some real evil. I like this translation here. That is why you need to put on God's full armor. Then on the day of evil, you'll be able to stand strong. And when you have finished the whole fight, you will still be standing. That's what we want, isn't it? We want to still be standing. We don't want to go down defeat. When this battle is over and we win the victory, we want to still be standing. That's why we're here. That's why we're not at First Baptist Church or Assembly of God Church or some of these other churches. And some of these people who understand our core values, they should be here also. They're cheating themselves, they're cheating their children because they're not given the structure and the strength that they need. We have been given a commission to feed the sheep of God. Recorded in John 21. And feeding the sheep is preparing the sheep. Now, we don't often like the concept of being sheep. I know there's a quote, it is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. And men kind of like that. It makes them feel, it kind of appeals to men, And I understand the concept, I mean, the Bible does use a metaphor of his people rising up as a bold lion, so I understand that. But overall, God refers to our people as being sheep. Now, the quote is usually attributed to Mussolini, but it goes way back to ancient Rome. And like I said, it appeals to men. So people ask, what is my purpose in life? Our purpose in life is to feed the sheep. Our purpose in life is to be a conduit for those who understand our core values, be a conduit to the sheep. Not sit back and say, oh, watch the world falling apart. I'm going to sit back here and observe it happening in my little righteous throne. Is to be a conduit to feed the sheep. So Christ tells Peter, feed the sheep. Comes back to this commandment, love your God and love your people. We are here for that purpose. We are here to love our God and to love our people, to feed the sheep, to be a conduit, to stand strong against this evil that's arising in our midst, to fulfill this is our purpose. Feed the sheep. When he said feed the sheep, he's telling us to love our people. And, we fail in that quite often, I know, because we look at people and think, well, there's not much there to love, and we get angry with people, and we all fall back to the deal that, well, I've got some truth, they don't have it, if they don't like it, they can go to hell. We sometimes all feel that way. If the people aren't going to accept the truth, then they go to hell. But the Bible tells us that Christ said that if there's one sheep that is lost, the shepherd goes out and searches out the sheep. It's not an easy thing to do to be a shepherd. Being a shepherd is not the easy thing to do, but that's what we are. That's what we're called to do. We're called to be a shepherd. Because people aren't going to listen to the lion. People, the sheep, our people, they're not looking for a lion to deliver them. They're looking for a shepherd to deliver them. And that's what God calls us to do. God is telling us to love our people, love our brothers and our sisters, to be excited about our life. We have to be excited about what we're doing. We have to be excited about the struggle. We can't mope around thinking, because I've gone to conferences more than once where people whine about how powerful the government is. And I was at one conference here just recently, and the guy was saying, the Jews control everything you do. Everything! They know your bank account number. They know your name. They know your address. They know where you live. They control you. Well, I guess I thought it was kind of funny because if they control everything, how come they let this guy talk? But anyway, but people do agree with that idea. The Jews have it all wrapped up. There's not much we can do. They have all the power. It's pretty hopeless. But if you possess this love for our people and that motivates you, the Bible tells us, I think I've got it on the screen. I don't. The Bible tells us, if you have 1 John 4:18, if you have love, there's no room for fear. Because perfect love drives fear away. Nobody wants to follow you. They think you're going to. Nobody wants to follow you into a life of depression and anxiety and doom. We got a message. What I like to look about, we got a message of hope and deliverance for our people. Yeah, we know what the enemy is doing. We know they're out there, and we know their evil contraptions and their evil intent. We know all that, yes. But there's a message of hope. There's a message of deliverance. And that message in the shepherd, Jesus Christ. He is the one that gives us hope. Where are we going to go? Peter says, for you have the words of eternal life. So we have this mission before us. That's why we're here. That's why we're here at this church. That's not why we're at some other church. We're here because we have these core values of loving our God, loving our people, and want to share that with our people because we have a message of hope and deliverance for them. And so to expand that, our purpose in life, what is our purpose in life? Our purpose in life is to feed the sheep of God. I don't know if that's maybe the metaphor is the wrong way. Awaken God's people, awaken the white race, rise up white power, strengthen the white people, the white family. It's all called feeding the sheep. And everyone does different things, but everybody has the same mission. Everybody has the same mission. It doesn't make a difference what your job may be. It doesn't make any difference. You work in computers, you pump gas, which they don't do anymore because you pump your own gas. But anyway, it doesn't make any difference if you work on cars or whatever you do. Those are just things you do. Those are just things you do to help pay your bills. Your mission as a person who's awakened to this plight and this anger and this hatred for our people, the mission we all have, the purpose we all have, is to take this wonderful message of white Christian revival to our people. Help them to grow, help them to learn, help them to be prepared. Not everyone's going to listen to you. Most probably, well, my experience, most do not. And I think it'll be your experience also. Most do not. But there are people who will listen. There are people who do have an ear to hear. And you don't have to convert them overnight. You just plant a seed. Just plant the seed. That's all your responsibility is. But that's our mission, is to take a message of hope and deliverance for our people. And what is that purpose? And what is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of Feed the Sheep? The purpose of that is so that we can once again claim dominion. That is the ultimate goal and objective of this church and other believers throughout the country. That's our ultimate objective, is not just raise children to be children, but raise children to be warriors, to claim dominion, to encourage other people to claim dominion, to encourage our wives and our husbands and children to claim dominion, to help people that we come in contact with on a daily basis who are awakened to this white genocide. Our purpose is to feed them, strengthen them, give them the courage, and give them help put on the armor of God so they can what? Claim dominion. And that's our objective, is to claim dominion. That's why we're here. Our Father, we thank you for your blessings and watch care over us. We ask that you help us to understand our great mission, our great responsibility that we have. Claiming dominion. Some people just say, I want to go to heaven. Well, fine. But we want to be your servants. We want to be your warriors. We want to claim dominion, as you've pronounced that is our mission in life. We ask you to be with each and every one of us. Help us to remain strong. Help us remain courageous. And help us remain faithful. In your name we ask it. Amen.
Very good message, Pastor Rob. If you'd like to get more information regarding our church service here, as well as our conferences, you can write to us at Christian Revival Center, P.O. Box 602, Harrison, Arkansas, 72601. That's Christian Revival Center, P.O. Box 602, Harrison, Arkansas, 72601. Or you can email us at revival@southshore.com. Revival@southshore.com.